more Middle Eastern. But we don't want to talk about that, though, do we? We also don't want to talk about how many cultures, when they think of Jesus, they see them how they see themselves. Such as, there's plenty of paintings of black mother Mary and a black child, and there's a black Jesus, and then there's the Asian one, there's the European one. There's plenty of fucking pictures of it. But yeah, we won't touch on that, though, because Sean King said so, right? Fuck out of here, man. And then, my personal opinion is, instead of trying to unite everybody as a whole, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be all united on every front, right? I think there's always going to be division here and there. But we can definitely come together on certain issues wholeheartedly. Like police brutality, ain't nobody for that shit. But not everybody's for defunding the police or abolishing the police either. And I just think the way we're going, especially with pulling on all the statutes, people are trying to rewrite history, right? And that's not how this works. I know people, well, the victors are the ones that's write history. There's a reason for that shit. They won. Whether you like that shit or not, that's how it goes. The winner writes how the fuck they want to write that shit. Spectre USA and author Michael Tracy authored a very good article on how Black Lives Matter is a state-backed religion. That was an intense article. It was a good one, but it was intense because he makes a lot of solid points, like a good amount of solid points. I suggest you could read. I'm going to read a couple pieces of it. I'm going to start. Protests often feel inadequate to the characterization for the public expedition, or whatever. I'm having a problem with that word. That have erupted nationwide over the past several weeks. The term protest carries a connotation of action carried out in opposition of existing structures of power. Hence, you protest against forces that are arrayed against you, even if some municipal bureaucrat might have reluctantly granted you permission. However, at least in my jurisdiction, events which were presented as protests should more rightly be labeled as something along the lines of state-backed demonstrations. Because the state did back these. 110%. 110% of the states backed these. Minnesota did, when they let the police precincts go down. New York did, when Governor Bill de Blasio locked up fucking parks in the Jewish neighborhoods, but let people protest in thousands across Brooklyn. The double standard is beyond real. There's not here we go again. For instance, in my otherwise sleepy hometown of Caldwell, West New Jersey high school, students organized what turned out to be an astonishing large protest march. Notably, the students accomplished this feat with the complete cooperation and participation of the community authorities, against which the youth of a previous era presumed would have rebelled. Parents, elected officials, school administrators, and even the police. It thus took on the appearance of an authorized civic gathering, almost like the 4th of July celebration or a Christmas tree lighting at the request of the students. So the students asked, and they showed out. Speaking of 4th of July, D.C. Mayor Bowser wants the residents to stay home on the 4th of July. I'm going to read that article real quick, too. It's from the Daily Caller. I know I'm jumping around, but I think you can definitely get the point of the double standard here. Democratic Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser told residents to spend the 4th of July at home despite encouraging Black Lives Matter gatherings happening en masse amid the coronavirus outbreak. Just because there are going to be fireworks downtown doesn't mean I have to go, Bowser said at the press conference Thursday. She said she hopes to see a significant reduction in crowd sizes related to the July 4th events, according to Fox 5. Paul Wagner tweeted, D.C. Mayor Bauer begins her news conference by urging D.C. residents to celebrate the 4th of July at home. The feds have already announced the fireworks on the mall will take place, and the president plans a salute to America on the south lawn of the White House in Ellipse. The mayor did not share the same COVID-19 concerns for Black Lives Matter protests that flooded the streets following the death of George Floyd. Bowser posted a video of herself amid a large crowd of Black Lives Matter supporters that do not appear to be maintaining 6 feet distances from one another. Oh, that video is pretty clear. Video don't lie. President Trump has planned the second edition of the Salute to America on Independence Day on the White House South Lawn. The display will feature music, military demonstrations, and flyovers to honor our nation's service members and veterans. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McKinnon said, according to the Washington Times. Bowser's office did not respond to a request for comment from the Daily Caller. But look at that hypocrisy and double standard. Rules for thee, but not for me. Follow these rules, but I will not. And with all this happening, I know a lot of Trump supporters, I know a lot of them are dead set on he's going to win, he got it. Yeah, I don't think y'all really follow the news, man. You got to get news from every angle in this day and age. The left, the right, the center, the up, the down, the east, the west, the southwest, the southeast, the northeast, the northwest. You got to get it from everywhere. You got to get that shit from outer space if motherfucking possible. You know what I'm saying? You got to get news from everywhere. You got to get every opinion. And then you got to use your goddamn logic and your goddamn common sense. And you got to start to put that goddamn puzzle together. I'm not talking about a red pill moment. I'm not talking about a blue pill moment. I'm talking about when your third eye opens. I'm talking about you can't be so cemented in your thought that you think you'll never lose. Trump does not have this in the bag. Trump is competing against the far left, a bunch of radicalized fanatics, a bunch of extremists, a bunch of Antifa members, a bunch of Black Lives Matter protesters. He's going up against an entire wing that seemingly the government is bending to. And I hear a lot of people like Steven Crowder and Tim Pool say, why isn't the right doing something? Why are they not standing up? I think a lot of them that aren't standing up, I think they're shook. Because how the fuck they supposed to stand up? I don't think a lot of them can't afford to lose their job. A lot of them can't afford to not comply, is the best way to say it. They don't want to say, oh, that shit makes me feel uncomfortable for this reason, that reason, this reason, none of that shit. Just like that bill that was passed in Oregon that targets strictly white people to have to wear masks because they can't feel profiled. I've asked before, where does the buck stop? It has to stop somewhere. The goalpost has to quit moving. Until you can effectively get that shit changed. But I want all my Trump supporters to notice that buck has not stopped moving yet. That goalpost has not stopped moving. And you cannot think for a second that he's got this shit in the bag and you don't need to play your part come November. We got 132 days or 129 days, something like that. We got 100 plus days before November. It's going to be a long ride to November. A lot of shit's going to happen on the way to November. A lot of it's going to deter people from liking Trump. A lot of it's going to get people to like Trump. A lot of it's going to keep people wishy-washy. His fan base is already his fan base. His base is his base. And his haters' base is the haters' base. Biden has just as much of a hate base. But people will vote for Biden out of spite because they hate Trump. Just like people will vote for Trump out of the fact that they hate Biden. But these people are normal people. They're not normally the fringe. And no, I'm just shooting off the hip right now, guys. 110% just shooting off the hip. I don't know if I see a civil war coming. Shit, we could already be in the middle of it. Seems like we have been for a while. Especially with cancel culture. Because, I mean, there's a plan there. There is a plan here. I don't know what the plan is. But there's definitely a plan from what I see. And I know Antifa's involved. I know they're involved, and I bet they're having a blast with it. But we can't stay complacent. You gotta get out there, man. You gotta, not get out there. But when it comes to November, you gotta get out there. I don't know if you're gonna go stop them from tearing down a fucking statue. I really don't know if you will. You could try. You definitely could. You could be like that guy that went in the chat and started flipping over tables and shit. You definitely could do that. I'm not saying you can't. You could be like the militia in New Mexico that went to try to stop them from pulling down the statue. They still had to pull back. Comes down to a numbers game, I honestly believe. And unless you can rally the same amount of numbers peacefully that the left's going to rally with the ideas of violence and whatever protesting that they see fit at that moment, is what you're going to need those numbers. You can bring 100, they're going to try to bring 1,000. Or they're going to bring 200 that are willing to crack your head with a bike lock like they've been known to do during these so-called peaceful protests. And I'm not saying there's not peaceful protests happening. But what I am saying is there's some other agenda happening as to why every statue is coming down, not just the Confederacy and how they originally pitched it. And I have a question for Mayor Bowser. You tell your residents to stay home on July 4th, the day of our independence. But would you condemn Antifa from showing up to Gettysburg to burn American flags? Would you condemn that? Because if you wouldn't, that's a clear double standard to me. And no, I don't have to buy into this lunacy that the left continues to push. And I'm not talking Democrat left. I feel bad for the Democrats that just try to be Democrats. You guys got it rough. You don't want to be conservatives because you don't believe in what conservatives believe in. And you can't go so far to the fucking left because you start fighting with yourself about the things you do believe in. So yeah, I do feel bad for y'all. I feel bad for moderates. Some days I think I'm a center conservative. Not in the center of conservatism. More in like the center of the graph, but more on the conservative side. I have my views and I've went over those. But I definitely think everyone needs to start to open their eyes to the hypocrisy and the double standard being pushed by the mainstream media and our Congress people in the House. And on that note, baby, Petrov is out. Keep your eyes open. Stay safe. Don't believe in the hypocrisy. Don't buy into the double standard. We out.